5 p.m., October 13, 2015. Council meeting is called to order in the city of North Miami. Mr. Clerk?
Mayor Joseph,
Here.
Councilman Galvin. Here. Vice Mayor Keys. Here. Councilman Bieneme.
Here.
Councilman Desime.
Here.
Mayor, we have a quorum.
Thank you very much. We'll proceed with a Pledge of Allegiance with Officer Commander Walter Sid.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. If you rise, please place your right hand over your heart and repeat the pledge after me. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you.
Okay, let's proceed with invocation by Pastor Christopher Castagnol from Tabernacle of Glory.
Please stand for the invocation. Lord, we thank you for the privilege of being stewards of this great city of North Miami. Yet we realize that if we lack the right tools, we can never efficiently govern. So our prayer tonight is that you would equip us with love, with wisdom, with a sensitive conscience and sound judgment so that we may effectively impact lives. Bless our mayor, the council, our chief, and the entire police department. Bless this great city of North Miami. This is our prayer in Jesus Christ's name.
Thank you very much, Reverend. You may be seated. Mr. Manager, do we have any additions, deletions, or any amendment to the agenda?
None, Your Honor. The agenda is as is.
Okay. Special presentation by Kids Smart Swinging Dance Video Competition presentation by Soraya Trujillo, Assistant Principal of Holy Cross Lutheran School of North Miami.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. My name is Soraya Trujillo, and I am the Assistant Principal at Holy Cross Lutheran School. Thank you, City Council, for having us here, and community members. I'm here to present good news for the city. Holy Cross has been here for 64 years and serving the North Miami community and the children in North Miami, pre-K to 8th grade. Last year, we entered a competition that we really didn't know what it was all about. It was called Kids Smart, and it was a dance video competition to teach children how to stay safe. We ended up winning the competition, and we won $10,000 for our school, which was wonderful. Since winning, and we will show you the winning video, which is a short 2-minute video, but since winning, I have become very passionate about this program. Kids Smart and Net Smarts are programs designed by the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. And a lot of you would remember Adam Walsh, the case of Adam Walsh. John Walsh was the one that was instrumental in starting the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children because there was nothing in place when Adam Walsh was abducted. And this program teaches kids the 4 safety rules to stay safe and keep from being abducted. And Net Smarts, which is not presented tonight, but is also net safety, and it shows, especially teens, how to stay away from predators online. And I had the opportunity to visit the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, and they have a poster there that says, parents, an abductor doesn't need an unlocked window to get to your child. And it shows the computer keyboard. So I ask you as a parent and as a teacher that loves her kids, if you have an opportunity to teach your kids about these 2 programs, please do so and spread it to the community and to any schools that you're involved in. And now I'll show you the video. I think I'll show you the video. Where's my video?
IT, please.
In charge. unpredictable. And you can bet that when I'm feeling upset, I can tell my trusted adult what's up. What's up?
We can dance, everything's under control. We can dance in the streets and in the halls. We can dance, everything's under control. We can dance in the streets and in the halls. We can dance, they're doing it across the land. We can dance, everybody's doing the dance. It's the safe to dance, oh, it's safe to dance.
Thank you very much. I failed to mention the most important thing about this program. It's that both these programs are totally free to schools, teachers, parents. They have online resources for parents. So please use them. And if you have any questions, you can contact me at Holy Cross. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you, City Council.
Thank you very much. We'll proceed with another presentation by Florida Department of Transportation. It's an update on 119th Street.
It's an update on the ongoing project and improvements that FDOT is doing along the 119th Street corridor between West Dixie Highway and I-95.
Thank you. My name is Ken Jeffries. I'm a transportation planner with the Florida Department of Transportation serving Miami-Dade County and Monroe counties. And thank you, Mr. Mayor and Commissioners, for allowing us to be here to present on the proposed median improvements and some additional improvements on 119th Street between I-95 and Dixie Highway. Recently, the city contacted us to determine if medians could be implemented, and we're here to report what our concept is for the project. And I have with me Mr. Eric Penfield with Reynolds Smith & Hills, who is a certified professional engineer, and he's going to give you the presentation.
May I switch? Okay. Good evening. As Ken had mentioned, this study and this project was along Northwest 119th Street, and the parameters of the corridor were from I-95 to Dixie Highway. On this graphic on the screen, on the west side is I-95 that runs top to bottom, and then Dixie Highway that's on the far right of the screen that also runs top to bottom. The purpose of this project has three components to it. The first one is to improve pedestrian safety. We did a safety study along the corridor, and we particularly evaluated the pedestrian crossings and the routes that walkers took along the corridor, and we identified those, and we targeted some specific locations where we thought some safety improvements could help them cross the street. The second component of the study was a complete streets project. We wanted to look at ways to make the roadway system not just beneficial for cars, but also for pedestrians, bicyclists, buses, etc. And then the third part would be to augment that ongoing resurfacing project that's currently underway along the corridor, and to do no harm, so to speak, from that particular project. And that especially deals with the drainage along that along the corridor. We understand that that's certainly an issue, and that ongoing project is addressing some of those concerns. And speaking of that ongoing project, okay, so the department is resurfacing the roadway, and that project, which is ongoing, is estimated to be completed in February of next year. The project, in addition to resurfacing the pavement along the roadway, is also looking at upgrading signage and pavement markings. It's also improving the American Disability Act facilities and requirements along the corridor. And it's also adding bicycle lanes to facilitate that movement too. Now, the reason why this project that we're here tonight to discuss is kind of separated and not connected to this ongoing project is that we didn't want to delay the current ongoing project with some of the issues that I will discuss later on. But we want to keep them separate so that this project, this current resurfacing project, would be completed on time and on schedule in February next year, not delay that. So what are we here tonight for? For this particular project, we wanted to look at three separate things. We wanted to replace the painted median that's currently present along the corridor with a raised median. That would facilitate some pedestrian safety features, right? So we would have a raised platform for pedestrians who would be crossing the street at some mid-block crossings. It also wouldn't be any wider than what's out there today, so that wouldn't have any impact on the drainage system that's being addressed with the current resurfacing project. There's also a missing sidewalk piece on the south side of the roadway. We were looking at connecting the sidewalk pieces from one end to the other. That particular improvement would require right-of-way, acquiring a tiny bit of right-of-way. Again, that's another reason why that part is not connected with the current ongoing project. Then the third part was adding some street lighting at some dark locations, at some intersections that were had poor levels of illumination. That's a safety treatment. It's going to help facilitate pedestrians, particularly in the nighttime hours. This is a graphic of what I was just discussing. So the green part on the screen on the left side would be where the painted median would be replaced with a raised median. And that's present along the corridor essentially from Fifth Avenue all the way to Dixie Highway. Left turn lanes would be present at all the intersections, and access at all those locations would be maintained. They wouldn't be changed. At Northwest 3rd Avenue, we were proposing to install street lighting at both the north side and the south side of the intersection, and that was the one intersection in our study that we identified that had some really poor illumination levels. This would augment that and provide a safer pedestrian environment. At just around 1st Avenue, Northeast 1st Avenue, is where that missing sidewalk segment begins. And that's in the lower right-hand corner of this graphic. This would be where the sidewalk, we would construct a sidewalk beginning at that location. It's extending, continuing eastward through Northeast 119th Street extension, all the way to Dixie Highway. And in those sections, there would be some small amounts of right-of-way that would be necessary to be acquired to complete the sidewalk section. This particular project is, with the public hearing and the right-of-way acquisition requirements, is estimated to start in March of 2018. It's got about a 4-month schedule and will be completed in July of the same year. Overall, the construction costs would be a little more than, estimated at least, to be a little more than $700,000. So in summary, we had 3 items that we were particularly wanted to inform you about. The first one is the replacement of the paid-in medians with a raised median. And this, because of this action, this would require a public hearing to discuss and obtain public feedback and input about that access change. So here's our plug, by the way. We have our public hearing scheduled for December 8th, and that's at the Stanton Memorial Baptist Church, and that's between 6 p.m. and 8 p.m. We'd love to have the public show up and provide some feedback and input on our plan. And then the other 2 items is we wanted to add the missing sidewalk piece along the south side of the roadway, and then also add street lighting at Northwest 3rd Avenue. And with that, we would welcome any questions that you may have.
Yes, sir. I do actually, because my district is mirrored to that. I know we have some work right now currently being done. Is it by your department from 5th to North Miami Avenue?
Correct.
Okay. My question to you is, what is the outreach plan that you guys do? Do you guys reach out in the Creole radio? Because obviously, I'm getting a lot of calls. I knew it was the state road, but obviously the residents didn't know. It's being impacted, especially by Grattan Elementary. I was there the other day, and nobody knew. So I understand you guys are doing a public outreach in December, but do understand this is a very diverse community, and majority of those folks in that area speak Creole, that you heavily do some outreach in the Haitian community, or someone pass out some flyers or let the residents on the corridors of 119th, at least between 95 up to North Miami Avenue, understand what's going on.
Absolutely, yes, sir. Yeah, as part of the public hearing, there's a predetermined schedule of events to do the outreach. It involves not only advertising in local newspapers, but also going door to door to residents and businesses to, inform them of when the meeting is occurring and try to solicit their attendance. It's going to be multilingual, so
Okay.
it's not just English, but it's going to be
Creole
Creole and
and
Spanish
Spanish.
as well. And there will also be, newspaper advertisements and
No,
things
no,
like
I
that.
understand you say newspaper, but please talk to your department, including some radio, because because a lot of folks in that area, they don't, if they don't read English, the paper would definitely won't do them any goods. Okay?
Will
Thank
do.
you.
Thank you.
Councilman, just one point of clarification. The work that is presently being done is actually drainage infrastructure that is being put in. That is, that's been ongoing. The job that you're looking at is a job that is coming, that's coming up as part of a safety project in 2018.
Yes,
So
yes,
it's
I'm
a
aware.
complement to this project that is presently
That
being
is
done.
being done.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
The next item is a traffic calming presentation by Ms. Kimberly Horn. Is she?
The firm Kimley Horn.
Oh, the firm Kimberly Horn, sorry.
Good evening. My name is Ravi Vijayasundar. I'm with the consultant firm Kimley Horn and Associates. Also with me today is Mr. Greg Kyle with Kimley Horn and Associates. Next one. I want to give a brief update on the citywide traffic calming study that we are performing. The study is done in two phases. The phase one is the reduction of the speed limit on local residential street, and the phase two is the traffic calming component. The next one, please. The phase one is already complete, and we update this council a few months back the results. The area that's shown in yellow is the area that's approved at this point by the Miami-Dade County to lower the speed limit. The city has already started the implementation and in the process of purchasing the signs to implement this lowered speed limit. That would be 25 miles per hour on local residential streets. Typically, to make this kind of a traffic calming measure more effective, the lowering of the speed limit need to be complemented with enforcement as well as traffic calming improvements on select roads. Again, the Miami-Dade County has certain guidelines and criteria set to evaluate the locations to determine if those traffic calming improvements are feasible and justifiable. Those measures include the traffic volume, the speed, as the crashes, as well as cut-through traffic. Part of the study, we gathered data at over 30 locations, and I'm briefly showing the results of that. The numbers that are high in bold means those the traffic volumes are exceeding the livability threshold. That's one of the requirement. Next one, please. Next, proceed. The typical traffic calming improvements that we are considering include the speed humps, the raised intersection, as you see from this image, raised crosswalks, as well as speed feedback signs. At this point, we have submitted a preliminary concept for the city staff to review the traffic calming recommendations that we have made on a number of locations. I know this is the images are a little bit hard to see, but at this point, the city staff is reviewing. Just to sum up the recommendations we have made, here you will see then different types of traffic calming devices proposed. The preliminary estimate of this proposed plan is to implement is about $400,000. The city has to coordinate with the Miami-Dade County and as well as prioritize the improvements. After this initial phase is done, what we recommend is to evaluate the effectiveness of the recommendations and then make appropriate actions, as well as expand the scope to include other streets in other areas. Also included in this study is we've been asked to evaluate closure of certain streets. The Miami-Dade County's criteria for the street closure is much more stringent than for the traffic calming because of the obvious impacts. Some of the steps include is you have to get concurrence from the affected residents and property owners. 2/3 of the residents need to approve that process. Also, you need to get the input from the fire and police departments. And the third component of that is the performing a detailed traffic study. One of the locations that we were asked to look at is the fifth leg of the intersection at Northeast 125th Street and the Griffin Boulevard. That would be to close the Northeast 3rd Avenue. At this point also, the Department of Transportation is conducting an operation traffic study at that location, so that may be an opportunity to evaluate this location along with their study as well. Next one. And then there is also a number of streets that connect to Northeast 6th Avenue from the west side. That would be between Northeast 125th Street and Northeast 135th Street are also being looked at. We have performed preliminary assessments and gathered some information, more studies, as well as the steps that I outlined that are needed for this portion of the study to move forward still need to be completed. With that, that's a summary of my presentation. If you have any questions.
May I go, Mr. Mayor?
Go ahead.
When are we getting a copy of this study or this presentation, sir? Because I've seen some locations, but I'm not really quite sure, clearly could see which locations they studied. Did they study the entire city, or how did it go?
Well, as it is, the phase 1 of the study did the complete city. This is phase 2, looking at intersections that are requiring traffic calming, meaning whether it's a traffic circle, whether it's a speed hump, a speed table, signage, all of these are methods of traffic calming. So what the consultant is doing, they're evaluating those areas within the city based on speed, volume, and doing the complete analysis. This is just conceptual right now, Councilman. What I'll do is, even the presentation, it wasn't part of your package. I will ensure that the consultants get you a copy of the draft plan. If there's any comments to be made in your district as well, John O'Brien, our transportation manager, will get in contact with you through your interim manager.
Okay.
Okay?
Yeah.
Any other questions for the presenter of the?
You mentioned the traffic study throughout the city. At the last time we had the presentation, it seemed limited as to which neighborhoods were going to be impacted, which were going to go from 30 to 25. I know a lot of the roads in my district were going to be going down, but it seemed like some of the streets of people who wanted lower speed limits were not included. So where are we with that? Is it the whole residential? I mean, we originally thought of lowering the speed limit on all city-owned residential streets. So where are we with which streets exactly are going to be lowered to 25?
The initial phase of the study that we coordinated with the city and provided the results included the areas that are highlighted in yellow in this map. So this study at this point is done in phases because you have to collect traffic data on number of streets for the study to be, to provide the required information for the Miami-Dade County to make the determination. So the initial phase included collecting traffic data in the residential areas that are highlighted in this area. So all the residential local streets are eligible to be lowered within those areas. So if the city wishes to expand, then more studies need to be conducted in other areas.
Because I'm looking, Councilman Yaname, I know you were generous enough to help fund the cost of the original study. I see your district really hasn't been lowered. Is that something that concerns you, or you want to continue?
Yes, I want to continue with it because
You need to
it's
bring
been
up the
2
map
years
again.
ago since we addressed the issue of closing some of the streets
Right.
on 6th Avenue and throughout workshop. And when I asked Mr. O'Brien about the feasibility of the project, and he said we got to do it to a study, and we put the money together to get the
Right.
study, and now we are moving forward and waiting for the county approval in order to.
Would you show Councilman Bianame again?
Can you bring back up the map?
The yellows, because I'm just pointing it out to you that I don't see a lot of your district being part of the study.
No, it's a part.
Mostly it's his.
Yeah,
Because
the
Most of the
second
district,
green
right.
is the area
It's
that
his.
we have been looking for.
Is that yours?
Yeah.
What
Yeah,
is
that's
This-
the northern boundary of that?
The northern boundary, Councilwoman,
135th.
it's actually the Biscayne Canal, which is the
Yeah.
C8 Canal, and it ends at West Dixie, at the railroad track, and then it crosses Biscayne Boulevard from Biscayne all the way to the bay.
But that's 135th Street, correct?
That's
Yes.
correct.
So everything north
Yes.
of 135th Street is not in the study.
Yeah.
Everything east of the canal is studied
Right.
except for the area between Biscayne Boulevard and the railroad tracks.
Okay,
Yeah,
so a
that's
lot of your,
not
a lot of Councilman Bianame's district is not included, north of
Yeah,
135th
north of
Street.
it.
No, the south side
The
of
south side of his
South
district.
side is-
135th was
Correct.
the one that
Okay,
we
just
have been
pointing that
looking
out.
at. Yeah,
That's
and
the area that he's interested
So,
in.
again,
that's why in the north area of 135th, that's what, and we are making improvement in those traffic circles.
Okay.
And the
And we have
closures.
about 7 traffic circles
And the street
in that
closures.
area, and I don't think we need to lower the speed limit in those areas since we already addressed that with the
Okay.
traffic circles. And you got to tell.
Yes,
no, I know. I'm
I
not
know.
concerned.
There
No,
when
I
it
was
was
watching it.
2
I'm
years
not
ago.
concerned about that. But I'm moving forward. When are we gonna expand it to cover the entire city, or at least the western portion?
Well, the areas that was not
That's not
considered.
colored. Can you put
that-
back that map,
Can you
sir?
bring the map back up?
Yes, thank you.
Right. The areas actually west of Biscayne Canal to northwest 17th Avenue, I guess it could be done in the next phase of the project. And pending funding, I'll check with transportation to see if it can be done. That area could be studied for traffic calming as well in the next phase of the
I
project.
mean, my office contact Mr. O'Brien at least on a weekly basis. See somewhere we get. Okay, thank you.
Okay? Thanks, Robbie.
Thank you.
We'll, well, I guess with the whole council will go down for the next presentation. As you all know, the month of October has been coined the Breast Cancer Awareness Month. In this country, this is a very rampant problem. Breast cancer accounts for a lot of death in this country, only second to lung cancer when it comes to women. And too many women die of breast cancer, and we know that in this country we are doing as much as we can, especially as a medical doctor. It would not be nice for me not to do something about it to show that we do care for the people who have been affected. And the incident, talk about a little bit about the incidence of breast cancer in this country. 1 of 8 women in this country will develop breast cancer during her lifetime. And we have over 200,000 cases, new cases, just in 2015 that's projected to be diagnosed in this year alone. So this is a very big problem in this country. And also it's good to remind you that women are not the only sex affected. Men can be affected by breast cancer as well. As a matter of fact, in my practice, I have treated many men with breast cancer. So it's good to be aware of it, and it's good for us to do something about it, and that's why we are honoring a group tonight, and we are going to ask, who are we asking to come forward? You didn't give me my cheating paper. Where's whom am I calling? Show me the name, show me the name. Show me his name. Yeah. Mr. Russell Silverman, thank you very much for coming.
Thank you.
We really appreciate the work you do. And Mr. Silverman, you have been very instrumental in addressing the issues of breast cancer in helping us understand the disease and also make more people go do their mammogram, right? Yes. So for that, in acknowledgement of your continued service in advocacy and research as a non-profit organization dedicated to end breast cancer, your End Breast Cancer license plates actually have helped raise a lot of money. Over $4 million, I understand.
That's how much we've given out, yes.
Yeah. And so you are to be commended for that effort, your philanthropic effort. So such exemplified hard work and devotion serves as an example, as an inspiration to many who have suffered from the disease and from the family members as well. So for that, we do commend you and we present you. This is the least that we could do.
Thank you.
In presenting you this.
The mayor and councilor are right. 1 in every 8 women get breast cancer. 1 in every 1,000 men get breast cancer. We see it all the time, and our goal is to end breast cancer. We gave out $1 million just last year for research grants. We're going to do it again this year. University of Miami here in Miami received $400,000 of that million. And we look forward to the time when there will be no more breast cancer. We do this work for all of us. I have 2 granddaughters, and I don't want them to go through what my wife went through 14 years ago. Hopefully there will be a time when there will not be breast cancer. Thank you very much for recognizing us.
Well, I promise I wouldn't be emotional, but this is a very important issue. And actually, my niece passed away from breast cancer at the age of 31. She was diagnosed at the age of 26. So, and having said that, this is a disease that carries a genetic trait to it. So if you're a woman and you have a family member, especially a first-degree family member, sister, cousin, and it behooves you to really go get tested. There are some genes that can be detected that can tell whether you are at risk of developing breast cancer in your lifetime. So please do your mammograms. Different countries, like in Europe, they have different guidelines and different specialties. The gynecologists tell you one guideline, the Cancer Society tells you, but they're all pretty much in agreement that the screening is very important. So we have, and I said all of that because I'm about to call someone to the podium who's very dear to the city of North Miami. She's a very hardworking woman, and I've been here for like 11 months now. I haven't met anyone yet to say anything adversely about this woman. And the city manager loves her. Everybody loves her. And she works hard, and I believe she loves everybody in this city as well. So having said that, I would ask our city community planning and development manager to please come forward and say a few words about breast cancer.
Good evening. Oh, we can do much better than that. Good evening. Wonderful. I'm Tanya Wilson Sijor. The mayor and council asked me to say a few words on behalf of the cancer survivors. I'm actually one of the 8. We talk about 1 in 8. We talk about 1 in 8, and we don't recognize how common and prevalent breast cancer is in our society. Certainly every year when I'm asked to speak, I'm always very eager to encourage women, to encourage mothers, sisters, daughters, to do their early screenings and to do their mammograms and not overlook the opportunity to definitely be a part of the proactive group that makes sure that they're prepared and they're ahead of the ball and not necessarily ignore or overlook those symptoms that you might see. So I encourage you, early detection, to get out to those clinics, get out to your mammogram centers and get your screening done. The possibility of survival is possible, but certainly the early detection and screening is important. And I encourage you to support organizations such as the gentleman that's here with your giving and your contributions, because of course the research portion is also very critical in the fight against breast cancer. So thank you all for wearing pink in solidarity and recognition of the survivors like myself. Thank you.
Last but not least, we have a woman who's very dear to this city, and I don't think she needs any introduction from me, so I can just call her name, she'll come forward, and everybody will know who she is. Can I call her without calling her name? The woman in the purple shirt, the gray jacket, that's purple. I'm allowed to make a mistake. I'm a man. Annie Montgomery. It is pink.
This is a surprise. I'm an 18-year survivor. And when I was diagnosed, I was in control. I thought I was in control, but we're not in control. So we have to listen to what Tanya said and take charge. But only the good Lord is in control. And I'm here 18 years. Thank you very much.
I just want to say, just be very brief. Cancer is a disease that has touched every class, every culture, every creed. It's a disease, I don't want to get emotional, because I lost my mother from cancer. I know the chief lost his mother from cancer. Tanya, that's why she's very special to me, and I always talk to her all the time. It's a disease, as I said, there's no boundaries. And whatever we could do for this cause, it's a very, very, touching cause, and, it touches everybody's lives. It doesn't matter your color, you're black, white, yellow, brown, or blue. It doesn't matter how much money you have. And I just wanted to say that. Thank you.
city events announcement. Do we have any?
Thank you, Mayor, Council. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Cynthia Raymond, and I'm a Public Information Officer for the city. And it is with pleasure that I am here to tell you of the upcoming programs and events. Recycle Bank is back. You can once again earn points for remembering to put out those cards out each week. Visit our website, northmiamifl.gov Recycle Bank, to activate or reactivate an existing account. Through the rewards program, you earn points that can be used for everyday savings, deals, and discounts by recycling at home. This coming Saturday, October 17th, 9 a.m. to noon, Councilman Philippe Bien-Aimé is hosting a citizenship drive in collaboration with the Florida Immigrant Coalition at Griffin Community Center. Later that evening, from 7 to 9 p.m., visit the MoCA Museum for MoCA Contemporary Dialogues. The topic is Abstraction Across Cultures, a dialogue between Adrian von Leitz and Babacar Mbow. The entire family is invited to MoCA's first Family Day of the year on Sunday, October 18th from 2 to 4 p.m. Children of all ages will enjoy 20-minute drop-in workshops while exploring the real-time process of creating art. Monday, October 19th from 7 to 9 p.m., Councilman Scott Galvin will be hosting a town hall meeting at the Gwen Margolis Community Center. Residents are encouraged to attend and share their ideas or ask questions about ongoing projects or city services. District 3 residents of North Miami are invited on Thursday, October 22nd at 6:30 p.m. to attend a workshop where Councilman Philippe Bien-Aimé and City Administration will preside over a discussion of issues and upcoming projects. The workshop will be held at the Griffin Community Center. October is Breast Cancer Awareness Month. And to that end, Councilman Philippe Bien-Aimé is hosting a Shooting for Awareness girls basketball exhibition on Saturday, October 24th from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. at the North Miami Senior High School Gymnasium. Kick off the countdown to Halloween with friends, neighbors, and family at a riot of funny pumpkin faces. Councilman Scott Galvin, Keystone Point Homeowners Association, and the North Miami Jaycees hope to see you at the pumpkin carving party happening Saturday, October 24th from 10 in the morning to 1 in the afternoon at Keystone Park, Bobby Hammer Field. Last but definitely not least is the annual State of the City Address presented by North Miami's Mayor, Dr. Smith Joseph. Remember to save the date, Wednesday, October 28th at noon during the Greater North Miami Chamber of Commerce monthly luncheon happening at the Miami Shores Country Club. Please contact the Chamber at 305-891-7811 to reserve your seat. For more information about these events and more, please visit northmiamifl.gov/celebrate, like our Facebook page, The City of North Miami, follow us on Twitter at Nomi News, or contact the Parks and Recreation Department at 305-895-9840. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Raymond. Do we have any update on hurricane preparedness? Nothing?
Actually, hurricane update and city projects would be at your next city council
Next
meeting.
city, okay. We need a motion for the consent agenda.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to move one item off of consent, item D, for just a quick procedural question, I guess.
That's fine with me.
You want me to ask it now, or
Hmm?
you want me to just ask it now, or how do you want to handle it?
Yeah, you can just go ahead and ask
On
it.
item D, which is the proposed employment separation agreement between the city and the outgoing city manager, this idea of a separation agreement is very, very new. In fact, I didn't even realize that others existed until this one was sort of being lobbied for or asked for, better word. I've since learned that there are 3 other former city employees, 3, maybe 4th, but 3 that I can think of, who also have separation agreements. Those were never brought to council. We were never asked to, agree to the terms like we're being asked to tonight. Mr. City Attorney, under what part of our city rules, charters, and any other governing guidelines are separation agreements allowed for? In 17 years up here, this is a new one to me.
The city manager has the authority under the charter as the chief executive officer of the city to enter into those agreements. And the reason you're now contemplating this city manager's agreement is because he is subordinate to you, whereas in those agreements that you have just alluded to, those employees were subordinate to the city manager. So it goes up the chain of command. Since you are the supervisory board over the city manager, he has to acquire your approval.
So where, again, I'm sorry, where does that authority for the city manager lie? Is it specifically stated in his or her duties?
Well, it's part of the powers that rest with the city manager as the administrative chief officer for all of the city employees. There's no prohibition in the charter or the code to remove that power or to curtail such powers from the city manager.
So it's not explicitly stated, but neither is it explicitly prohibited.
Exactly.
And we're into another one of those North Miami gray areas. Okay, I would like if the council agrees, us to revisit that, because I think the council has a duty to know when we extend somebody's pay period to allow them to accrue more pension, those pension benefits to the person who gets them and the cost to the city, in at least one case that I'm aware of, doubled. And we weren't made aware of it at all. Didn't even know it existed until this came up, and I said, well, is this the first time we've ever done this? And it was like, well, no, here's these other 3 instances. And I'm like, whoa, where did this come from? Four instances where it happened. So I think the council, we have a fiduciary duty to the citizenry to, talk publicly about certain conditions. And I'm not looking to bring anybody specific instances up tonight, but there are former employees who benefited from their agreement. Our pension will now be paying them more, from what I understand. And I think that deserves to have been discussed publicly, because it's only fair to the citizenry to know.
Absolutely. We can take a look at the gray areas and perhaps offer you more concrete clarity in the code for future contracts. Absolutely. Thank you.
That's what, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. So we'll still move it or leave it in the consent agenda?
You can leave it under consent if you want to.
Okay, so we need a motion to approve.
So move.
Second.
Motion was made by Councilman Desmay to approve the consent agenda. It was seconded by Vice Mayor Keys. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
Nay.
Item passes 4-1. Tab H. Proposed resolution of the mayor and city council of the city of North Miami, Florida, authorizing the city manager to execute an agreement between the city of North Miami and Kimley Horn and Associates, Inc. for the development of a bid package for the replacement of North Miami's existing water meters with an advanced meter infrastructure, AMI, system pursuant to request for qualifications number 12-14-15, continuing architectural and engineering services in the approximate amount of $89,220 for a term of 1 year with an option to renew, providing for an effective date and for all other purposes.
This is tab H. H under resolutions. Through the mayor, the city utility has approximately 23,000 water meters in the system, throughout your system. Our system is presently requires to keep up with the technology. The technology here that was mentioned in the report is an AMR, automated meter reading system. In order to upgrade the utility, we have already applied to the state of Florida's state revolving fund for $6 million to update the system. This is just the beginning of the study that will actually start implementing an AMR system for the utility. That's what this resolution before you is today.
Okay, the public hearing is now open on the item. Public hearing is now closed. Any comments or questions from the dais?
Move approval. Oh, we have to open the public forum.
We just did.
Oh, sorry. Then I'll move approval.
Second.
Go ahead.
Motion was made by Councilman Galvin to approve tab H. That motion was seconded by Vice Mayor Keys. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Item passes 5-0. Tab I. Proposed resolution of the mayor and city council of the city of North Miami, Florida, approving the city administration's competitive selection of Core Land Construction Corp. as the lowest responsible contractor to furnish all materials, equipment, tools, machinery, supervision, expertise, and services required for the replacement and installation of sidewalks at locations designated by the city manager, and further authorizing the city manager to negotiate and execute an agreement to complete the sidewalk project in the approximate amount of $250,000, including a contingency amount of 10% of the contract value, in accordance with the terms, conditions, and specifications contained in the citywide sidewalk replacement and new installation project IFB number 36-06-15 as amended, providing for an effective date and for all of the purposes.
Staff?
Again, through the mayor, we just went through the budget process and adopting the new budget. It was clearly stated by the Public Works Director the need for sidewalks throughout the city. In fact, when I was the Public Works Director, a study done required 3.2 million improvements in sidewalks. That's just to replace some of the broken sidewalks that we have. So this is just a drop in the bucket. The 250,000 is basically to repair and to replace sidewalks that are desperately needed throughout the city.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
Sir? I'm looking at the back document to this. Is it possible for future meetings, we could have actually, I know the way they list in the background component of this, if we could have the ranking of the actual other bidders just for backup
Or the
information.
actual IFB ranking?
It's actually
Yes,
here.
okay.
It's actually
Yes.
here, but it's not listed. The other question that I had for staff while we were reviewing this, and they advised me I might need to see to talk to the city attorney. A couple weeks ago, we passed an ordinance that Tanya, I don't know if you could recall the ordinance that we passed, which requires us registering the local business based on the amount of business that's going. How does that impact this? Since we had already passed the resolution supporting small businesses or contracts hiring local from within the city. Does this apply now since we already passed the resolution, Roland?
Well, the response to this IFB went
Was before.
out
I got you.
before the
Okay.
passage of that piece of legislation.
Okay.
This was already in the pipeline.
I see. Can we still encourage them to?
There's always aspirational goals, and if you want to add it in the contract, when the
Please.
contractor comes in, you
Can
can
we do
always
that?
request,
Mr. Attorney?
Yeah, we can. It's almost like we can make the attempt
Okay.
because it didn't go out that way
I
under the
got you.
terms of the IFB.
We hope. Okay, thank you, sir.
All right. Do we have anyone from the audience who wants to be heard on this item? Public hearing is now open.
Mr. Mayor, Council Kenny, 776 Northeast 125th Street. I urge you to pass this. It looks like heck out there when you see road tar in place of the sidewalks. You need sidewalks. It's the appearance of the city. It's your quality of life. It sends out a signal who we are, what we are. And to see broken sidewalks covered with road tar is ridiculous, and it looks like hell. Thank you.
Now, how are we going to pick the sidewalks that are going to be repaired or replaced?
Well,
Or-
originally when the study was done, there were several criterias. The first criteria is anything that is going to be placing the city on liability. As Mr. Each just alluded to, with the black olive trees, they have sidewalks that are uplifted that creates a trip hazard. That places the city on major liability. So those are ones that are going to be the top priority. The second order of sidewalk replacement would be the safe school routes. Any sidewalks around any schools that are located within the North Miami municipal boundaries will be the second priority listing. And then we go down the list. Huh? So that's the priority order that the sidewalks will be replaced.
Thank you very much. I think public hearing was still open. Now public hearing is closed. Any comments or questions from the dais? Okay, we need a motion.
Move approval.
Second.
Vice Mayor Keys had made a motion to approve tab I. That motion was seconded by Councilman Galvin. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Item passes 5-0. Tab J. Proposed ordinance, first reading of the mayor and city council of the city of North Miami, Florida, adopted the evaluation and appraisal based.
Now, sorry, now, Mr. Attorney, we have to read the whole thing, even if it's the third time?
Yeah, yes, sir. It's, yes.
Okay.
So I'm gonna start over.
We have a presentation too?
Mr.
We
Mayor.
presented this thing like 5 times.
Mr. Mayor, it's not a detailed presentation. We're gonna go over the future land use map with the amendments that were made at the last meeting, and they'll give a brief presentation, just
How
identifying that
long?
stuff. It shouldn't be no more than 5 to 10 minutes, sir.
Not more than
I
3
have to
minutes.
I have to read it into the record first before you guys
Yeah.
can discuss it. Okay, so tab J. Proposed ordinance first reading of the mayor and city council of the city of North Miami, Florida, adopting the evaluation and appraisal based amendments to the city of North Miami comprehensive plan in accordance with the requirements of Rule 73C-49 Florida Administrative Code and Section 163.3191 Florida Statutes 2014, amending the future land use, transportation, housing, infrastructure, coastal management, conservation, parks and recreation, intergovernmental coordination, economic, public school facilities, and capital improvements elements of the North Miami Comprehensive Plan, adding a climate change element to the North Miami Comprehensive Plan, providing for annual update to the capital improvement element specific to capital improvements schedule, providing for data and analysis supporting adoption of goals, objectives, and policies of the elements, providing for transmittal and subsequent adoption of amendments, additions, and deletions to the goals, objectives, and policies of the elements, providing for transmittal of such proposed amendments to the State Land Planning Agency for review in accordance with Section 163.31843, Florida Statutes 2014, providing for repeal, conflicts, severability, codification, and an effective date. That was
I'll try to be
tab J.
faster than the clerk was reading that ordinance. Okay. We just want to present to you the map changes that we're making per the council's direction, just so that you're very clear on what's being changed from the existing map that you have adopted today. Okay, for State Road 7, the west side was staying 55 feet commercial and office, and the east side 200 feet maximum office and commercial. For Northeast 6th Avenue, north of downtown, a maximum height of 110 feet, 25 dwelling units to the acre. Residential high is what it is now, and we are changing that to 35 to 110 feet with incentives with a maximum density. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, you're reading this.
Oh, I'm sorry, I'm reading the original still. A maximum height of 110 feet, subject to compatibility requirements, and a density of 100 dwelling units to the acre. West Dixie Highway is currently at 35 to 100 feet with incentives and a 90 unit to the acre density. We're proposing 110 feet with 100 dwelling units per acre maximum density and a mixed use overlay. 125th, it currently has a maximum height of 35 to 100 feet with incentives and a density of 90 units to the acre. We're proposing 110 feet maximum height, 100 dwelling units to the acre maximum density, again, a mixed land use. On Biscayne Boulevard, there was a north and adjacent to Biscayne Landing. There's a maximum height of 55 feet commercial office, 75 feet mixed use medium, and a maximum density of 40 units to the acre. And south of Biscayne Landings, 55 feet maximum commercial and office land use. The change that's before you is 110 feet in height with 40 feet in bonus intensity. A mixed land use, a maximum density of 125 units to the acre. And this would be south of 123rd on the west and east sides of the corridor, elsewhere only on the west side of the corridor. Okay. The council directed us to increase height and density along North Bayshore Drive. So a new category was created called the Bayshore Zone with a maximum height of 115 feet and a maximum density of 100 dwelling units per acre. And there were two other sites where map amendments were requested. One is the Lively Stone Church property on the very northwest corner of the city. That went from low residential to mixed use high. And then there was the Ruck Park area where the CRA has parcels, and that went from medium residential to mixed use high. The next step is for the City Council to hopefully transmit this on first reading. It would go to the state for review. They have 2 months to review it. And then we would address any comments that they have in conjunction with your staff and come back to you for second and final reading. One request that if the council chooses to move this forward, we examined one standard. There was an FAR standard, which is floor area ratio. And that's something that the state law requires us to have. We have to have a way of determining what the maximum build out of a parcel is. And we thought better of that, and anywhere that you see a floor area ratio in the PCD or NRO, we would like to eliminate that and replace it with lot coverage at 100% maximum. The land development regulations will set standards for how much lot coverage any particular lot can be developed at. But by allowing 100% lot coverage in the comp plan, you don't limit your land development code to allow full build out of a property when the land development code deems it appropriate and the council deems it appropriate. So that's the other recommendation we would make. Thank you.
Thank you. Does staff have anything to add at all? Okay, we'll open it to public hearing now for anyone who wishes to be heard on this item. This is a comprehensive plan that will be submitted to Tallahassee, and that's what we will adopt for the next 7 years. So if you have anything to say, this is the time, or forever hold your peace.
Mr. Mayor, Council, my name is John Della Gloria. My address is 7740 Southwest 141st Street in Palmetto Bay. You may recall that at our last meeting, I was here requesting that an NRO line be moved to include the property from 9th to 10th Avenue from 124th back to 123rd Street. That is in Ms. Carol Key's district. We recognized that the community had concerns because we had never really spoken to the community about this project. Ms. Keys was very accommodating. Last week, we met with Ms. Keys, with staff, Tanya Nixon, and Mr. Sori. We met with the public. We showed them our proposed plan. Even though we would be asking for the NRO district to incorporate the property, we agreed at that meeting that in lieu of the 110 feet, which would be allowed in the NRO district, we agreed that On the 123rd Street side of the property, it would be no greater than 50 feet. On the 124th Street side of the property, right now the plan shows 9 stories as opposed to the 110 that's allowed. We've also agreed to give up any bonuses that would increase the height on either 123rd or 124th Street. The reason we met with the community is because we wanted total transparency as to what is going to be built there. We have Mr. Marcus Frankel, the architect, who's happy to give you a few extra details. Mr. Marcelo Tenenbaum is one of the principals of the potential developer. This is only first reading. And so what we would request is that where I'm supposed to stop? Okay. What we would request is that the line be moved.
Why didn't you have this item on the agenda?
Once we transmitted the plan and we posted it online, staff should go back and make changes then. If any changes need to be made, it needs to be made by this board.
No, what I'm saying is, why didn't you have Attorney De La Gloria on the agenda to speak on this item?
Oh, well, Mr. Mayor, it's a public hearing, and we didn't want to make this our project.
No, actually, I'm asking that on your behalf.
I know that. I know that.
Because there is a 2-minute limitation. And had you been on the agenda, then you wouldn't be subject to the 2-minute limit.
I appreciate that very, very much, Mr. Mayor.
I'm just playing the devil's advocate.
No, you're being very nice, and I appreciate that. We don't think you're the devil. We like you.
We know who he is.
At any rate, Mr.
Thank you very much.
Mr. Okay, I'm going to disappear in about one more second, but I just want to let you know that we are also trying to tie in MoCA to this project. We're going to have artist lofts. We're going to have on 124th Street, hopefully galleries, because we want to make this a project for the whole downtown. And finally, the only final point, this is going to be market rate housing, okay? And I know that was a concern. This is going to be market rate housing. Mr. Frankel, who is right there, could just tell you a few more details. And again, thank you, Mayor, for your indulgence.
Sure.
Hi, and thank you, Mr. Mayor, for the future opportunity to present more than 2 minutes. As John said, we had a unique opportunity to meet with the neighbors and the neighborhood, representatives of the Palomar District, and Carol Keys, Councilwoman, was there, and it was a very beneficial meeting. We were very grateful for that. We learned a lot of insights and some great input from that meeting, and the concept of our development is totally transformed. It is still a mixed-use intention, mixed use with residential of workforce housing and housing for the elderly, as well as components of an art district. The assistant city manager was there, Arthur, and and he also made some great suggestions about the connections. This project is really all about connections to the MoCA institution, connect it down 124th Street right to our project site, and create significant promenades around the project so that you could have artist studios and artist galleries all along the west side and south side, which would be fronting the northeast 123rd Street neighborhood. The galleries, the promenades, which are all pedestrian in nature, hardscape and landscape, will be minimum of 25 foot from the property line to the buildings and 50 foot along the northeast 123rd Street frontage, connecting eastward to that landscape promenade that you have exists for the Villa Maria nursing home. So it's really all about landscape promenades all around 4 sides of the properties, the other sides being 123rd, the west side of our property, and the east side being Northeast 10th Avenue. It's really about connecting people to that from the neighborhood. We recognize that if you move the NRO to the 123rd Street, it should have some limitations, which was also suggested at the meeting. 110-foot height on the north half, which would be on 124th Street, and limiting the south half to 55-foot height. We have no problem with that. In addition to the 17,000 feet of art district that would happen on the west and south side of the property, we're advocating 2 levels of work-live lofts above the art galleries and studios that would be for professionals and artists and anyone else that would like to live or work there. And above that, so that's.
We have
only-
to wrap it
I'll
up.
wrap it up.
Yeah.
Three-story building for that northeast 123rd Street. Above it could be a green roof, which will be an art park with sculptures and things like that that the public can visit. The north end of the property would have the housing, approximately 165 apartments, and it would be in an 8-story structure max, so maybe over the retail. So maybe you're looking at a 95-foot height limit on the north side.
Okay,
And
thank you.
that's really it. We're talking about vitality and community components.
Okay. Name and address.
Oh, I thought John gave you that. It's Marcus Frankel Architects, the third time I've been before you.
Address?
11 Frankel Bennion Architects, 1177 Kane Concourse, Bay Harbor Island.
Thank you very
Short ride
much.
over the bridge. Bye-bye.
How do we address that? Do we have to make any comment? Do we need any comment from Tanya?
If you wanted to address it, you would just make an amendment to the plan right now.
Would it be a motion? I make a motion to.
Yes, it would be a motion to amend the comp plan with moving the NRO as requested.
Well, the motion can be made after public hearing is,
Yes.
is over.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Go ahead.
Okay, Mike McDermott, 840 Northeast 127th Street.
Dave Burney, 13100 West Dixie Highway, the Chamber.
Esther Blinn, 1990 Northeast 118th Road.
We are all members of the Board of Directors of the North Miami Chamber of Commerce. And at our board meeting this morning, there was a unanimous vote on the Chamber Board to endorse the comp plan. And there was a letter drafted, and I'll just read this real quickly to you. To the Mayor and City Council of the City of North Miami, the Board of Directors of the Greater North Miami Chamber of Commerce has voted for its full support of the City of North Miami Master Comprehensive Plan and all its amendments as presented at our meeting on October the 13th, 2015. The Chamber always supports the progressive growth of business and also fosters employment opportunities and positive economic impact in the city and the greater North Dade area. We look forward to the advances to come and offer our support to the city and business community. This is a letter again in support of the comp plan because of its obviously positive impact on this community, both in growth and jobs and taxes. So thank you all very much.
Hi, my name is Ileana Albarran, and I live in 849 Northeast 121st Street. And as far as the NRO, the moving of the line is concerned, I think that whatever concessions are made for the developers, because their plan seems to be very much community-oriented, should not extend to the rest of 123rd. I mean, if it could be done in some way that, you know, their development is taken into consideration, et cetera, but that it doesn't take into the assumption that whatever development comes after them on 123rd are going to restrict the height requirements as they are. So I'm just worried that if they move the NRO line, that the next businesses that develop won't respect the height requirements in the other lots. Thank you.
Good evening, Council, Mayor. Robert Houston, 1150 Northeast 123rd Street. You know, before I came into this council meeting, I was on the fence as to whether I would agree or not agree with a development plan. One of the interesting things is that being a resident of downtown Miami South, we tend to be one of the targets of development that does not affect the rest of the city. And we love our neighborhood as much as anybody else loves their particular neck of the woods. After hearing the developers speak, and you know, there may be a motion to move the NRO south to 123rd Street, I would only ask the council and the mayor to consider having the same courtesy for the residents of North Miami as they did for Biscayne Park, which is to keep a transitionary area to be determined by you guys and by the zoning and planning staff. That's going to keep our area, which is what I call Biscayne Park North, as tree-lined, tree-shaded, and I will endorse this developer's request to move the NRO to 123rd Street, since he is respecting the neighborhood and keeping a transition line between the downtown area and the residential area. And I look forward to being a part of working with that if it does pass. So thank you.